What's up guys, it's Tom here and welcome to a brand new video where we will take a look at the latest update on Manchester City's potential relegation, because not only could they be kicked out of the Premier League, but they could be kicked out of other competitions like the Champions League and the domestic cup competitions if they are found guilty of some of or all of the 115 charges labeled against them. And also Man City are already preparing for life after Pep Guardiola, because it looks like Guardiola will leave Manchester City at the end of the season. His contract expires then, and some Man City board members already want Guardiola out. So what do you think about that? Let me know in the comments below. And what do you think will be Man City's punishment? What do you think what should be Man City's punishment? What will be the actual punishment that Man City will receive for breaking some of these 115 or 130 charges against them? The independent commission is the court case and the legal case is underway, and it's in the process of being finished in the next 4 to 6 weeks. And there is an article in the Telegraph where a reputable journalist claims that Man City are in danger of being thrown out of more than just the Premier League if they are found guilty of serious breaches of its financial rules. So Man City would be at risk of being kicked out of both the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, because there is no certainty they would be able to continue to play in the Champions League or even at the Club World Cup either. So the Telegraph sports section is reporting that this trial of the century is underway, and the Premier League rivals of Man City think that just a points deduction is not enough. Man City should get a much more severe, much more serious punishment if they are found guilty of the vast majority of offences they stand accused of committing. Expulsion from the Premier League would satisfy those clubs calling for a harsher sanction, but it would also risk throwing English football into chaos, and it could lead to Man City being kicked out of the Champions League, the League Cup and the FA Cup. So the rules of the two domestic cup competitions do raise the prospect of Man City getting kicked out, because clause 31 of the FA Cup rules, for example, where a club has been admitted to participate in the competition but is then removed from the league in which it competes, or its league fixtures are suspended, then the professional game board may remove the club from the competition. So if the Premier League removes Man City from playing in the Premier League, then Man City could lose the right of playing in the FA Cup or the League Cup as well. And I mean, if Man City are kicked out of the Football League, which means the top 4 leagues, the top 4 professional leagues of English football, then they would even have a right, they wouldn't even have a right to join the EFL Cup, the Carabao Cup, the League Cup as they call it, because only the top 4 leagues clubs are able to participate in that. But I think Man City would have a lot bigger problems than not being able to participate in the League Cup. And Man City keeps saying that they have a comprehensive body of irrefutable evidence, but we haven't seen any of that evidence. And if Man City were innocent and they had a lot of evidence supporting that they are innocent, then why haven't they showed it over the years? Why have they obstructed the Premier League's investigation at every possible opportunity? Why have they delayed this process so much by so many legal postponements and obstruction if they are so innocent? The Champions League rules, however, are a little bit more complex, the Telegraph points out, because teams require a UEFA club license to play in European competitions. And back in July 2020, Man City overturned a 2-year ban from the Champions League. So UEFA already banned and kicked Man City out of the Champions League, but because their offenses were more than 5 years ago committed, the Court of Arbitration for Sport acquitted Manchester City of some of the charges. But remember, Man City still got fined 30 million euros, which was cut to 10 million euros because they were found guilty of some of the charges against them, but it was just not enough for the Court of Arbitration for Sport saying that Man City should be kicked out of the Champions League. And the verdict of this independent commission is expected to be heard before the end of the year. So in December we could have this huge verdict which will send shockwaves across English and European football. And former Liverpool midfielder Jason McAteer says that he would be disappointed if Man City are found guilty, in a way that because it would mean that Liverpool fought against a cheating club for years, and Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool missed out on 2 league titles, 2 Premier League titles, by 1 point in each of those 2 seasons to a cheating club. Jason McAteer, former Liverpool midfielder, said, right now these 115 charges are being investigated. Why it's taken so long when they can find Everton and Nottingham Forest guilty so quickly? Well, let me answer that. The case is a lot more complex, and the Premier League needed years to gather all the evidence, to get all of their ducks in order, so they can properly prosecute Manchester City, because they wanted to plug any hole that Man City could find in their case. So they can't get away with it this way. Jason McAteer said, I know there is a lot more charges and Man City are innocent until proven guilty, but there's 115 charges. They will be very lucky to get away with every single one of them. I have my own take on why it has taken so long. I think there are a lot of other outside elements to consider that go beyond the purely sporting decision. The lawyers are going at it and they are trying to find an outcome which suits everybody. As a Liverpool fan, if Man City are found guilty, of course it will disappoint me. Whether you want to use the word cheated or whether you want to say they bent the rules by having really good accountants, it's still not right what Man City have done. Cheating is a very, very strong word, but if that's what they get caught doing, then of course I will be disappointed. The Liverpool players put so much into their tussles, into their battles with Manchester City over a 4-year period, to find out that a team that has bent the rules so significantly to gain such a significant advantage. Liverpool lost 2 potential Premier League titles by a single point in each of those 2 seasons, and they have dominated English football for the last 7 years. They have won 6 Premier League titles of the last 7 seasons. It would really, really disappoint me. We are not at that stage yet, and we will have to see what the outcome is. But if Man City are found guilty, then financially they can cope with whatever the fine is. They have got a bottomless amount of money, and so that's not really going to hurt them. But from a points perspective, they are going to have to set an example if Man City are guilty. Even if the Premier League took 40 points off them, they would still probably finish in the Europa League. A transfer embargo for 2 or 3 seasons could be another way of looking at it. I don't think Man City will be relegated if they are found guilty. That's what Jason McAteer is saying. I think the Premier League needs them. I think the government needs them. We will have to wait and see what happens. But if you don't relegate Man City, I think then you don't really deter the other players in the league, the other rich clubs like Newcastle and Chelsea, to do what Man City have done. If they see that even by cheating for so many years and breaking so many rules, if you only get a fine or a small points deduction, then that's not really a big deterrent. And then Newcastle will just start spending crazy amounts of money, because why the hell not? If you don't get relegated for it, then why not just break the rules? Man City have to get relegated, otherwise the Premier League's integrity will be in big question. And I just wanted to show you this, the Premier League relegation odds at the start of the season. Aston Villa 250 to 1, Liverpool 500 to 1 to get relegated. Man City 6 to 1 on this bookmaker. So even the bookmakers are pricing in the potential that Man City could seriously get relegated. I mean, Man United 101, Chelsea 80 to 1 to get relegated. I mean, that's funny because Man United actually, the odds are now a lot lower on Man United getting relegated than what they were at the start of the season. And I also have this very interesting news that some more Man City board members, after Man City suffering their first big crisis of the last 6 years, losing 3 games in a row for the first time since 2018. So for 6 years, Man City haven't lost 3 games in a row until now. Guardiola's exit could be wanted by some Man City board members. And they call it an unexpected problem that Guardiola could face. not being wanted at Man City at the end of his contract. I think that's still a little bit harsh because Guardiola is still an absolute genius of a manager, but he's working with an incredible football structure, and Man City have spent a lot of money, but their squad building have been questionable going into this season. They signed a lot of young players, but they haven't replaced Julian Alvarez, and apart from Haaland, there are no true goal scorers in the Man City team that are scoring goals regularly right now. Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden can of course score goals regularly, but De Bruyne is injured. Phil Foden is hit and miss this season. He had missed the start of the season and he hasn't been scoring goals regularly. And Haaland is burned out, I think, being run into the ground, playing every 3 days, because Man City don't have another striker in their squad who is anywhere near the level that is required to play as a striker for Manchester City. And these reports coming from Spain claim that some of the hierarchy at Man City, some of the board members, feel that it's time for a change. Of course, this 4-1 loss to Sporting is an absolute thrashing, and it has woken up the Man City hierarchy that maybe the future is not with Guardiola, and maybe this Man City project under Guardiola has run its course and now it's time for a change. This was the first time since April 2018, so more than 6 years, that Man City have lost 3 matches in a row. Guardiola has run into this unexpected problem, with some of the Man City board starting to question whether Guardiola is the right person to continue leading the project at Man City, and if the time has come to look for a new approach to avoid possible complacency that could harm the team in the long term. I mean, it's amazing that complacency didn't happen before, because no team has gone on to win 4 league titles in a row, at least in the Premier League's history, and I don't think even in previous English football history nobody has won 4 league titles in a row. And some more board members at Man City expressed the idea of a renewal, not only on the bench but also in a squad that has been playing for years under the same tactical and philosophical direction. And Man City probably need a big refresh in the squad and maybe in the locker room as well. I would be celebrating Guardiola leaving Man City, because it has been an absolutely painful experience as a Liverpool fan to lose out on 2 league titles by 1 point to this juggernaut that Guardiola built at Man City. It has been a very painful experience, and if Guardiola leaves, I think Man City will still be title contenders, they will still be very strong, but we won't see another era where Man City win 6 titles in 7 years, getting 100 points or 98 points, 93 points. This has been ridiculous points tallies by Guardiola's Man City. I don't think another manager could get those kind of points tallies so consistently in so many years in a row. And it is claimed that sources close to Guardiola say that he is evaluating all options, and Man City could decide not to renew Guardiola's contract, and possible replacements have already begun to circulate in Manchester. So these are the 3 straight defeats that Man City suffered the last time it happened in April 2018. Coincidentally, it is against my team, Liverpool. Liverpool thrashed Man City 3-0, then they lost to Man United at home, and then they got beat at home in the Champions League quarterfinals, second leg, after losing 1-0. Liverpool turned it around and knocked Man City out 5-1 in aggregate. And that was in a season where Man City got to 100 points in the Premier League and won the Premier League with a record-breaking points tally. And now this is the last time Man City didn't win 3 games in a row was in April 2022. So that just shows what a crazy run Man City have been on under Guardiola. And I mean, they have been unbeaten in the Premier League for something like 32 games before losing to Bournemouth. So that just shows what a crazy run Guardiola have been on. But the last time they didn't win 3 games in a row was in April 2022, when again they played Liverpool twice. They drew to them in the Premier League, they lost in the FA Cup semi-final, and they drew to Atletico Madrid in the Champions League as well. And this is just highlights how hard it is to find a run in Pep Guardiola's Man City career, where they haven't won 3 games in a row. And Guardiola said that I have to decide whether I leave or stay. I don't want to talk about it. I've said that many times, and hopefully all of you won't ask me anymore. I didn't take a decision already. When I take the decision, I will inform you for sure. There is no news, I don't have to add anything else. But part of me is leaving when Chiqui Begiristain is leaving. A friend of mine and one of the architects of one of the best teams ever from Barcelona and now at Man City. I knew the decision for a long time for family and personal reasons, and I know how grateful he is for this experience here. Personally, he will be missed a lot. He helped me a lot in my period in Barcelona and of course here. But I have the opinion the club is so solid, incredibly well structured. It has to be like that. All families have to move on. The club will move on. But if Man City gets relegated, maybe Guardiola will be defiant and say, you know, I will stay just to get Man City back up the leagues. But if Man City are not relegated to Championship but to lower levels, I mean, I would love to see Guardiola manage in the League 1 or League 2. That would be absolutely hilarious and fascinating at the same time as well. So let me know, what do you think will happen with Manchester City and with Guardiola's future in the comments below. And thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Have a nice day. See you later. Goodbye.